Good luck.
Hey there, Postal here. So today we're taking out the BV P.203. I would have posted a video on this yesterday, but, you know, I didn't know. So, it's the joys of not having community contributors in World of Warplanes. Nobody knows anything ahead of time. This plane is a pretty awesome plane, but there's a lot of caveats to that. I'm going to start with all the good.
Show me what you can do, pilots.
And, hey. Trying right now. Let's start with the good. So it has some really long range guns. Two 30mm cannons that it has on the front of this reach out to about 3,000 feet, or almost 1,000 meters. And they hit pretty hard when they hit. You've got a pretty darn good rear tail gunner, and you've got ridiculously good speed. You may or may not have noticed, this plane has both props and a jet engine on the back here. And so it has some pretty good ability to do its zooming and zabooming. What it can struggle with is its turn radius is terrible. Just absolutely terrible. It's got like giant plywood wings here. Because of that lack of maneuverability, it can really struggle when it comes to any kind of interaction with any kind of plane. I think it's worse. I think it's the worst at tier, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, you need to be a master of the boom and the zoom with this plane. If you're not, you're going to do terribly with it. The other thing, it doesn't have bombs or rockets. It's not the end of the world for my game style. When it comes to higher tier heavies, I don't really tend to focus on the bombs and rockets anyway, except for the P-1056. The rest of them, it's all kinds of like supplemental, right? So yeah, this plane can hit pretty darn good, but it can also struggle in situations like this. Let's stop turning. We've got two ground attack planes, but I need to get rid of this ME-209, and I'm having issues actually doing that. Let's go up and over if I can. Now that I'm 6,000 feet away, he's still coming at me. Dang, it's like, how long is it going to take for my frickin' cannons to hit there? So yeah, if you don't like dual cannon planes, this one might not necessarily be for you. The plane actually has, I think it's got a higher ceiling as far as playstyle is concerned than the XP-58, but I also think that its playstyle isn't for everyone. That's why I still recommend the XP-58 as a heavy plane for like the everyman. If you've got the skill set for this kind of playstyle, then you can actually have better games in the BV P.203. But you just need to know, you just need to be able to have that kind of playstyle, right? Got a 1056 here. I know there's a light fighter up there, but I'm salivating over the G8. This plane actually is very much a Tier 8 ME-410. But that's not necessarily, like, hold your applause. What that means, though... Dang, buddy. Guess Edward wanted to ram me there, huh? If you look at the metrics of an ME-410 and of this, and just the way they play, very, very similar. The difference being the ME410 has 4 rockets that you don't have on this plane. You've got significantly more airspeed and altitude performance with the BV P.203, but and of course more hit points. But the damage per second is actually more on the ME410 than it is on the BV P.203. Let that soak in, right? Your gameplay is 100% dictated on your ability to hit with your 30 mil cannons with this particular plane. If you're missing your shots, if you can't hit with your 2 30 mil cannons, A, you're going to get frustrated, but B, you're also going to be incredibly ineffective. So you get to short range and you've got your machine guns. You've got some 13 millimeter and 15 millimeter machine guns on this plane that can do the light load, the light work. But like your heavy lifting is going to be done with these 30 mil cannons, and if you're not used to that kind of process, if you can't handle 30 mil cannon, you know, the tap 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 that it takes to use 30 mil cannons, if you can't handle that accuracy issues that 30 mil cannons are just you know, baked in with, then you're definitely going to struggle with this plane, and it might not be for you. You know, I'm going to make the plane look good. A, I'm pretty good with the plane in general. But B, I'm not going to post a crappy video on frickin' YouTube of this plane. I'm only going to post a good video, right? But I only have good videos.
Hang in there. You'll soon be cut off from support.
Anyway, so I want you to know, like, yeah, I might be making this look easy. And there's going to be a lot of pilots out there that can make this plane easy. But I also know that there's going to be some pilots that are going to be dropping 50 bucks on this plane, and or whatever the hell the price is. I haven't even looked at it yet.
Victory is in sight. Keep it up.
And they're going to be like, well, what the frig did I just waste $50 on? I'm actually turning a little bit more than I would normally want to. But I got nothing better to do. Knocked out his engine.
That's it. There's no way to break through now. You're on your own.
Let's get our boost on. Get the heck away from whatever the heck's around us. Ah. Is that Hornet? I'm gonna keep my boost on. Gonna go straight up because this plane can do that pretty easily, especially against something like a Hornet.
Complete control of the skies. Way to go.
Turn back around.
Stay alert, pilots. Large enemy force spotted over the airfield.
Ooh, Edward. Oh, never mind, Edward.
Today. We'll be
You know, pretty good game, right? I'm, you know, it is just a very good game, and you can do that in this plane. I didn't think I ran into Storm and Norman here. Yeah, they both left already. Let's head back. All right, so we were able to get 14,000 personal points on there. We got 6,000 damage, 16 kills. Did a lot of damage versus those bombers. You know, specifically went out of our way to get bombers and things of that nature, which is what this really this plane is built for. What, 300,000 almost on the credits. And a GG to look at that! Sorry, this guy was in the last battle. He got me once last battle, and I got him once last battle. But my team won, so I win. So anyway, so some things about this plane. Let me show you compared to an ME. Whoop, that's an ME210. Don't try to compare it to that. Here's an ME410, right? Gun armament. Damage per second, 637. Damage per second, 595. Wait a minute, what? Barely any difference in the, you know, 44 for the gun armament, 38. Now, granted, I've got both of them boosted a little bit, so we're just going to call it, you know, that's the comparativeness of them. The difference is the optimal distance. Again, 3,100 feet for the 30 mil cannons on this plane. 2,300 feet, 24 almost, on the 30 mil cannons for this particular plane. The ME410 has two 20 mil cannons and then two 30 caliber machine guns. the 203 has two 15mm machine guns and then two more 13mm machine guns. So yeah, you can kind of see how it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another, other than the distance. Obviously, the rear turret is significantly better, just significantly better on the 203, and that's a darn good thing because your plane doesn't turn very well. You're going to want a rear gunner that actually does decent damage per second. And so that's what I meant on the difference between the 410 and the 203. That should open your eyes up, right? The airspeed obviously is going to be significantly better on this plane. You've got jets and props. The altitude performance, is built into that, and that's why your altitude performance is so much better, because it should be. The maneuverability is basically the same, but I tell you what, you're going so much faster in this plane that the maneuverability feels 10 times worse. Because you're going so much faster, it just feels like, whether or not your turn radius is better or not, it definitely feels worse. That's for darn sure. What's funny about this plane is it's actually built as a bomber in real life, or as in the mock-up. If you look on the bottom, and I could have showed you when I was flying around, there's actually a bomb bay door on the bottom there. So if you could imagine this thing being a bomber, it's kind of what it is, and that's the maneuverability reflects that. So not to take anything away from it, right? So calling it an ME 410 at tier 8 is a double-edged sword. It's not. The metrics aren't all that much better for this plane. And people are going to say, well, you're smoking crack, Postal. Like, obviously this plane is 10 times better than the NME 410. And that's not true either. It is better than NME 410. Maybe not tier for tier. NME 410 is top dog at tier 6, basically. This is definitely not top dog at tier 8. But if you can keep that mentality in your head of playing this like an ME 410, it's not a 262. Play it more like an ME 410. You can definitely have success with this. Just keep in mind, tier 6 ME 410 is top dog. Tier 8, the BV P.203 is not top dog, and you will get your butt handed to you by things that want to focus you down. If you run into a lot of tier 9 fighters, will make your life a living hell. An MEP 1092. If an MEP 1092 wants to focus you down, he will focus you down, and there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it in a one-on-one engagement. You need to kill him, basically, before he gets anywhere near you. You can struggle with against a handful of planes in this plane if you're not mindful, and that's why I don't think this plane is necessarily for everyone. I mentioned in the battle, this plane can, if you're a above average pilot, this plane will do you better than an XP-58. Maybe not consistently, but you can have better games in this than you can in an XP-58 just because of the way the ability to snipe from long distance. You'll have more consistent games in an XP-58 and more, just more good games in an XP-58. But this plane could give you some crazy, like this was a pretty good game, right? I've had 22,000 personal point games in this plane because you were able to do some weird things with the guns. Because you were able to get some decent speed really up high. But I've also had some stinkers where some freaking specialized 1092 said, no, Postal, not having it today. And planes like that you can't get away from and that you can't outmaneuver can make your life a living hell if it's a good pilot. And there are those good pilots out there. So you just need to be aware of that. Even something like an FJ1, if it's a good pilot, and not even like a great pilot, just a good enough pilot, they've got the speed to not let you get away. So keep that in mind. Like, this plane's about its speed. This plane's about being able to hit from long range. If you miss your long range shots and you let another plane get behind you, just hold on. Hope you survive. Use that F7 button and hope that you get some help while you're wiggling around. But otherwise, focus down the bombers, focus down the GAs, focus down the planes that aren't paying attention to you, and keep moving. Do not turn unless you're going to be killing that person, or that there's no way that they can outturn you, because otherwise you're just going to be setting yourself up for failure. So I hope this kind of mini review gives some perspective on the BV P.203. Again, I really enjoy the plane. I was lucky enough to win this plane back when it first came out. There were some freaking missions on that, weren't there? And so you don't see them very often. This plane's for sale every year or so, I'd say, I guess. Maybe every 8 months. I don't even know. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that part of it. But again, the main question people ask is it worth buying? It just matters. It matters your play style. It completely matters your play style. At tier 8 it can be a struggle, but it can also be a complete joy. So just be mindful of that with the double 30s. If your double 30s are not doing the damage, you're not going to have a lot of fun. And something like an XP58 would be a better choice for you because you've got those consistent hard-hitting cannons. And yeah, so we'll go from there. I hope you enjoyed my assessment. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. And otherwise, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you've got any additional questions about the plane, I'm going to go ahead and link some previous BV P.203 games on the cards above, right there. And yeah, otherwise you can search for them on my channel. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.